Okay, more about functions. This is lesson 2-2 from the pre-calc curriculum. All right, you're looking at determining domain and intercepts from an equation. In class, we've been looking at graphs and determining their domains, ranges, intercepts, and other items. But from the equation, it is quite easy to come up with the domain and the x and y intercepts. Okay, for the domain, generally, it's going to be all reals. That's what all this is saying. It's going to be all real numbers, except when we have conditions put on. Okay, implied conditions are when we have division, square roots, and logs. When we're doing division, the denominator or the divisor cannot be 0. So when we're looking at, that's a natural constraint. The denominator or divisor cannot be 0. When we're talking about square roots, we don't take square roots of negative numbers in the real number system, so therefore a has to be greater than or equal to 0, meaning a cannot be negative. And when we do logs, a cannot be 0 or lower, so a has to be greater than 0. All right. Then when we get into word problems, we may see further restrictions. You can't have half a person, dollars go to 2 decimal places, etc. So those are things to look at. All right, so here's our first equation. F of x equals 5x squared plus 4x minus 1. There's no division, no square roots, no logs, so the domain is all real numbers. And I wrote that in interval notation, negative infinity to infinity. For the intercepts, the x-intercept is always of the form a comma 0. A representing some value, 0 being the y-coordinate of the point. Okay, so in rewriting our equation, we replace the f of x with 0, and then we have 5x squared plus 4x minus 1. In order to solve for x, we're going to have to factor this quadratic. Okay, so remember our step process. We're going to multiply 5 times 1, factor 5, which is just 5 and 1. We're going to subtract, and we get 4, so it is factorable. Okay, so we rewrite this as 5x squared plus 5x minus 1x minus 1. The common factor of 5x squared and 5x is 5x, leaving us x plus 1. Between 1x and 1, the only thing they have in common is 1. So we bring down this minus sign, put it at 1, and then when we factor it out, negative 1 times x gives me negative 1x. Negative 1 times positive 1 gives me negative 1. So finally, put it together, it's x plus 1 times 5x minus 1. And that's equal to 0. Okay, so there's our factors, which means x plus 1 equals 0, and x equals negative 1. 5x minus 1 equals 0, so x equals 1/5. Okay. So we would write that in intercept point coordinate notation. So we've got negative 1, 0, and negative 1, I'm sorry, not negative, positive 1/5, 0. That's our x-intercepts. Okay. The y-intercepts, well, they're of the form 0, comma, b. Okay, so we replace our x's with 0. That's going to be 5 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 1. That's y equals. We exchange the f of x for y. Okay, so we do the math on that. Y equals, that's 0, so y equals negative 1. So our coordinate is 0, negative 1. Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here, and then we'll pick up with the next equations on the next one.